I'm getting inspired. Bring in the clowns. So beautiful. And this is the innocence of childhood. Of course, clowns have a history of bringing happiness and joy. They get us to laugh at ourselves. That's really nice. I wanted to play this for you because this was given to me today. And I'm a clown. So you're seeing faces of the real clown. Now, for those of you who've been watching this and you think, oh, that's scary because you've been watching Stephen King, it's not the clown you're seeing, it's the thoughts that have been put in your mind by someone who's thinking very negatively and frightening you. And it seems to me that there's a lot of beauty, a lot of innocence that's been tarnished now by the mindsets of people who wish to create fear out of innocence. I've been a clown for nearly 18 years, long time. It is 18 years actually this year. And I got inspired to become a clown because I met a woman who talked about humour and healing at Canberra Hospital. This is in Australia. And she basically inspired me by saying, you know, they had clowns going into hospitals, and I didn't know that at the time. So myself and a friend, within 24 hours, we went into a hospital and we basically started hugging everybody. Excuse me, little clown. We started hugging everybody, and that was the beginning for me of my own love affair with the clown, which is the clown within all of us, and it's the innocent clown that truly loves and truly sees the beauty in other people. And when you move through a crowd and you're going, oh, I love you, and you're shaking hands, you know, you're dancing, that's when you start to see how beautiful humanity really is. And from my perspective, I believe I see the real world. Now, many people think the world is a very negative place. It's not. It's a very beautiful place. But of course, there are trouble spots around the planet. Of course, people struggle with their lives, trying to make money, trying to survive. People are getting more serious these days because they're working a lot harder and they don't have a lot of time. But in truth, the world is a very beautiful place and people are very kind. I've traveled to 20 countries and I clowned on the streets of those countries and met with lots of people, lots of children. I taught peace in schools and in universities. And I did this because the essence of the clown is to see people as they really are. So when we entertain and we play, we do that to remind people of their shared humanity. Clowns are a symbol of you are accepted, you are loved, you are beautiful, let's have fun. And in fact, that is the reason why we're here on this planet, is to have fun and be happy. So I'm here to help people to see the clown in another way, since there's been movies that have discredited the clown. My job is to revive the clown for who it really is. And it is an aspect of all of us. When we muck around and when we get silly and when we play and when we giggle and when we go and do outrageous things for fun, that is the clown within. So we're always laughing because it is funny. Anyway, I have some ideas I'm here to share with you about how we can create the change across the planet. And being a world peace clown, my intention is to travel the world and teach peace, non-violence and anti-bullying. Now, before I go into telling you about the Speak Up Award and Real Hope, I'm just going to show you a picture out of my portfolio. And this was put together years ago by a local paper here in Melbourne, and it's Let's Give Peace a Chance. And what I'm talking about in that picture is creating a global democracy. And all democracy really is, it's not a Western notion, it's just sharing power. It's a lot like mediation, actually. We sit down and instead of dictating to other people and saying you should think like me, all democracy is really saying we have a right to your opinion and you have a right to yours, and let's sit down and work it out together. Or even if we can agree to disagree, that's fine. It's sharing a space with others in the world that's different, but we don't reject them on the basis of that difference. We embrace them, because all the differences create a little bit of a challenge to the way that we think and see. And what that enables is for us to expand our perception of things. That's why we clash up ideas. That's why we have conferences. That's why we have debates, is to bring in new ideas, and we clash it up and new ideas come. So we don't want everybody thinking in the same light. We want people to be challenged, but in a really positive way, not in a negative way. Now, what I also talk about here is looking at creating maybe a Department of Conflict Resolution or a Department of Peace, where we actually focus on peace building in the world. We're not just looking at defending ourselves against imagined enemies, but we're actually recognizing that we actually need to work through with people who are different from us, ways and means that we can live together in peace and harmony. And what I've discovered through my own experience is that we really need to sit down and talk. It's all about dialogue. But people have not been taught dialogue. They've not been taught how to respect people who are sitting around them. They've been taught to compete, to shine above others, to be better than other people. But what I've learned from being a world peace clown is everyone actually shines. And when you see people smiling, there's nothing more beautiful in my heart and soul than that. I mean, I just spoke to an Indian man at the service station today. I was actually buying a coffee there. I was doing some work at the library nearby. And we got talking about India and Gandhi and non-violence. And I told him about some interesting dreams that I've had and my visit to an ashram over in India. And he didn't have great English. Now, I could come at that from another perspective and go, oh, well, he doesn't speak English, he's not like me. I just will buy my coffee and leave. But I never do that. I go into the place and I get to know this man. I find out his name. And he said his name was, it was meaning between God and earth. You know, I can't quite remember this. I think it was Nia or something like that. It was, he had his name on the badge as Nick, but his name was more like Nia in his, you know, probably Hindu in his language, Urdu. I could go there. Just had to try and remember them. And so we talked about India, and he talked about politicians and how corrupt they've become. And I was saying, yes, we're seeing that values are sliding in the world, and it's actually the values that is what connects us all. So if you feel empathy for someone, you're going to imagine what it feels like for them, and you will give them more of an opportunity. You will talk to them. If you're in judgment of people and you say, well, I'm right and you're wrong, well, you're not going to give them any space at all. You just decide you don't like them. You might cut them off. You might demonize them to other people. And this is what creates the great discord in the world. This is what enables the sense of isolation and loneliness to evolve is when people are in judgment of one another and when people value certain people over other people. It could be on the basis of their status, their income, their looks. It could be what they're good at. In the world view of a peace clown is that we value everybody the same. Because when you're clowning around and you're joking, the only thing you're really interested in is whether people smile or not. And of course, if they don't smile, that's fine. You might just blow them a kiss and move on. If they do smile, there is nothing more beautiful than that in my mind. And that for me is the gift. I don't care what they do or how much they have or what they look like at all. All I care about is, are they feeling happy? And it really is the most exciting thing to see a whole lot of people laughing and smiling. So my sort of work is really to action the values in the world, and these are universal values. These are values everybody shares, from Russia to China to Afghanistan to Spain to Europe to Britain, India, Nepal. We could travel the whole globe, South America, Central America, Africa, China, Asia, and on it goes. I could just feel myself embracing the world as I was speaking then. I'm feeling that feeling of putting my arms around everybody and saying we're one global family, and we are. So the universal values is actually what joins everybody. It's where we can meet. It's where we can see ourselves in each other. Now I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do that. And I'm going to also show you some project ideas I've got. But firstly, I'm just going to show you my card. This is my card. I'm a peace ambassador for the earth. You can see email and website down the bottom is Worldpeacefull, FULL.com. So I'll just get a bit closer so you can see it. And I've got the world on this image because we are the world. So what I want to show you is some ideas to inspire you that we can change the world for children. We can inspire the change that we wish to see in the world. I heard someone say the other day that he couldn't change the world. And I said to him, you can change the world and I believe in you. I was really surprised that he thought he couldn't. In fact, we change the world in every single moment. We change the world by every word we utter. We change the world by the way that we think and how we interact with that world. Now, you can change that world in a positive or a negative way. But as I heard tonight on a documentary, and it was very wise, it was about violence. It was actually about evil and good. I personally don't see the world in those terms. I see the world in terms of love and lack of love. And a person who is in lack of love, I don't see as my enemy or someone unreformable. I just know that they actually don't love themselves. Now, it was Morgan Freeman who actually compared this program, and they looked at early childhood, they looked at the world of children, they looked at the neuroscience, and I'd just written a piece today on the wiring of the neural networks in the brain in early childhood. When we give children lots of sensory support, lots of love, kindness, play, security, it actually wires the brain in a certain pattern. And you can see through the brain imaging the parts of the brain that are developed and the parts that aren't. So if you have children, it's very, very important that those children get lots and lots of your time, energy, and love and laughter. I've witnessed people sitting, I'm hesitating to say McDonald's because of the clown. I actually clowned in McDonald's in Russia. I remember that. And I also clowned at the same type of venue in Bangkok in Thailand. So it was kind of funny. I said that he was my uncle because I was dressed as a clown at the time. I said, "There's my uncle." Anyway, I was there and I was just working on the Wi-Fi, and I saw a family and the parents were on their phones. Kids were just sitting there. And I saw another time parents talking and ignoring the child, not encouraging the child to go and play. And I'm just really interested in that, because what I know, having been a clown, and I really relate to children, I feel a real symbiotic resonance with children, like I'm an equal to them. I understand the way they think as well, and they are full of excitement and joy and play and exploration, and they're climbing things and they're wondering what's that, what's this. They're very curious, and that's human being in its raw form. It's not even childhood. We can all recover the child within ourselves when we let go of all the seriousness and the fear and the control that runs our lives. See, children aren't run by that when they're young. They don't know yet. Poor little things, it's coming. But they don't realise that, you know, the world that adults live in, they live in an imaginary world, and they live in a world that's full of wonder. There's no fear in this world. Now, when I'm a peace clown travelling around the world, I have no fear at all, none. So when I go on the streets and I meet all these incredible people, I am just in a state of unconditional love and joy. And as you can see in my face as it lights up, because I feel enormous joy whenever I connect to what I would perceive as who I am, which is a world peace clown. I'm connecting to the true humanity of who I really am. So what I'm going to do now, because I notice the time's ticking away, and if you're still with me, that's great. We're going to change the world. We are. We are on the precipice of extraordinary change. Now, I know you think, no, it's over, it's getting worse. I know what people are thinking. The environment's collapsing. You know, the economic structures are collapsing. Of course they're collapsing, because they're not sustainable in the sense that they're not preserving or preserving humanity. The existing structures we've got are based on what you can get, not what you can give. So the economic paradigm, if you like, is demand and supply. The idea behind economics was people demand, I need this, I need that. We created production, we created mechanisation, factories, whatever, in order to produce those products to meet that need. But then we brought marketing in, and we started to tell people what it was that they would need in order to be accepted in society. So there was a lot of psychology around advertising and promotion to say that you need this thing in order for you to be happy. The truth is the opposite. You don't actually need those things to be happy. They're very temporary pleasures. The real joy in humanity comes from within, and you don't need to buy it. It's actually free. But it's when you become present with yourself. It's when you find who you really are and express that to the world. You don't need money to do that. And that doesn't mean that we don't create or maintain certain pockets of activity where people are making things and there's an exchange happening. Maybe this time that we're on in respect of this precipice is working out how we reconfigure these exchanges so that we all win. I'm a great believer in a win-win, and I would say that the new paradigm is going to be about when you win, I win. When I win, you win. It's not going to be about win-loss, because when we do that, we shrink the pie. We actually make the world more impoverished. Now, that's to also say that even in wealthy countries, there's poverty, and that poverty is in our minds. We want more and more and more. We become greedy. In the third world, you've got the material lack, but they've got great abundance in their family relationships and what they consider to be important. So we can learn from one another. Materialism has to be balanced with the planetary systems. We need to learn how to live in harmony within ourselves, with each other, and with the natural world. And the natural world is the teacher. The natural world is not selfish. It's not taking it all for itself. It's sharing everything in a very balanced way. There's no waste. We're in a design where we are wasting so much. We build in what they call obsolescence into products where we get them to fail over a certain period. We have people on drugs that they don't need. We have people over-consuming in foods that are high in fats and preservatives, and in actual fact, some of the chemicals in those products are actually killing the body. So if you were to stay alive to 100, the product accumulation of these toxins would probably kill you at, so let's say 85. So they're not good for the body. We have to learn to do this in a whole different way, and that's what this time is about right now. I know many people are still working along the expansion of economic activity, but it's not going to work because the planet's collapsing. We've already had ice caps melting up in the north. You know, we've got sort of a sneak preview of the Atlantic conveyor situation, where the way that works is that the water melts from Iceland. The cold water sinks very fast, and this creates, if you like, a kind of a pulley system of warm water rising, cold water sinking, and it ends up creating like a figure eight around the world. This is the Atlantic conveyor. Now it moves water, which means it's healthy. It's like a circulatory system of the planet. Now, when that stops, that conveyor stops, you get an ice age happening in Britain. Now, we've already had ice melting in unusual times and up in the north. This is very concerning. This is at the North Pole. It's also in Iceland. The planet is definitely shifting. We're also having magnetic field activity weakening, and NASA scientists are talking about a flip, a magnetic field flip. So this is not your poles, your geographical poles. This is actually the magnetic. So you might have a geographic pole, the magnetic pole. Well, the magnetic pole is actually moving. That's what they're saying, but it can flip. So north and south flip. Now that's going to have implications for how birds navigate using the various internal systems of navigation based on the magnetics. We've also got the whales, their sonar. There's a lot of activity around the planet that relies on these poles. Even inside our body is actually functioning in accordance with these magnetic poles, and also in the brain we've got magnetic field. So we have to actually change. This is not negotiable. We have to change. It's not about a race to the bottom for those who think they can exploit all the resources and allow the population to collapse, or those who have a viewpoint that, well, you know, wouldn't it be good if 3/4 of the world population disappeared? Well, no, it wouldn't. This is not who we are or what we are, and who plays God and makes the decision of who stays and who doesn't. No one has that right. From a peace perspective, the words that come to my mind are, we are each other's keepers. We are here to serve and preserve the planet. We are here to tap into our creativity, to expand beyond the limits of this planet, and start to think and feel who we really are and what it is we envisage for a renewable planet. So that brings me to my idea. It's called the Speak Up Award. We're going to start here. This is a Sustainability and Peace Encouragement Award for Kids to Unite People. Now, as you can see in my picture, what have I got down the bottom there? Worldpeacefull. That's me. That picture was actually taken in a place called Arequipa, which was in South America. And I actually was talking to the people in this plaza without Spanish. I pointed to my cheeks. I have a love heart on one cheek and a peace symbol on the other. And I was asking them in English, what do you love? What brings you peace? And they answered in Spanish. I didn't understand. I did record though, and I could get someone to translate it. It's on my website. You can look at my blog, Travelling Around the World for Peace. Now, the Speak Up Award is to inspire the children. We are here to create a change. This is the first page of my document. I'm going to read it to you, actually, to inspire you. We can change the world, definitely. If we can create havoc and problems on the planet and disease, we can actually reverse it by changing our thoughts around it. So let's start with, what is peace? There is a wise Japanese Zen koan which says, "In clapping both hands, a sound is heard. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Many stop and try to hear the sound. They become puzzled. Peace is a puzzle that has not been solved by humanity. We have approached the problem as two hands clapping. Peace requires each of us to see differently. For in the past, we are seeking applause, rather than to pause in the silence to deeply listen to ourselves. For all answers live in the heart of each of us. That is why peace is present in every moment, every day, and expresses in simple ways." And that short sentence there was actually inspired by a Rotary president many years ago. I actually met him, but he was talking about simple acts of peace. Another question to consider is peace the moment you start thinking about it? Can we think about peace, or is what we are grasping for universal and inherent within nature itself? We are indeed threads within a web of life that is intricately woven and balanced. We did not create this web. We are a thread within it. As we ask questions, we open up to possibilities that allow us to see what we cannot see. To find peace is not what we think, it is who we are. That's why we can't analyse and force peace through intellectual analysis. That's not to say we can't map a conflict, that we can't learn about another culture, that we can't use the intellect, but we do it in service of the heart. The heart is where the leadership is. You have to feel the world. Peace is not a thinking thing, it's a feeling. Just remember the times when you felt utter peace. Think of those moments. I can think of a few, I'm sure some of you can, where you've been happiest. And you were glowing as a result of connecting to this most beautiful love. And you couldn't stop smiling. Or maybe you had a huge laugh with a lot of people and you just said that was the best moment, was when we all cracked up laughing. When you are true to yourself, peace just naturally arises. Also, people say at the end of life, when you've had a terminal disease, for example, when you realise you have to give up the fight, that you're not going to live, that you're actually going to pass over, it is said that the most incredible peace descends upon you as you let go of the struggle and you allow. Now, if you were to learn this in life as a practice, you would just let go. Of course, we have life experiences which have to play out, where you have no control over when that experience finishes. It finishes when it finishes. I've actually learned that in my own life. You can't control anything. You have to allow events to unfold. You have to trust the moment. Sometimes you'll be spontaneous and you'll just say what you feel. This is the way life is. It's unfolding. And there'll be moments when we're really upset. There'll be moments when we're really happy. This is the way of the world we're in. We feel everything. We are human. But we can pick ourselves up again. We can learn to see the next day as a new day. We can change ourselves. We are unbelievably unlimited in what is possible within us. The creativity of us is an untapped ocean. It is enormous. People say the way we think is the way it is. Well, no, the way we think is the way we are. You change your thinking and the whole world changes, because every single human being on the planet is seeing differently. You think about it. You're in a group of people and an event happens. You all talk about what happened and you will not be saying the same words, because you have perceived differently, and it's come out of your childhood, your education, your culture, your personality, your mood. All of that changes the way you view that event. Now, in the world of peace, if you were to look at an event that some might call negative and you are at peace, you will not see it as a negative event. You will be at peace and you will look at that event and it unfolds. Now, depending on your particular perspective, you may look at that event and say, well, this is reality. This is what's happening right now. I have no control over that, but this is what's happening. How can I help? And if you're moved by love, rather than going into fear, you will think of ways to assist. Byron Katie, if you check out her work, thework.com, she talks about going for a walk. People might see a snake and they get very frightened. She will say, we'll walk around the snake, not because she's fearful of the snake. She honors the life of the snake, and she will see the snake as gorgeous. But then she uses the analogy that things in life we can think are a snake that frighten us, but in truth, it's really a rope to save us. And it's up to us to decide whether it's a snake or a rope. But what if everything is a rope? In other words, there are no circumstances where life is not supporting you. It just might appear that way. Even sitting on the street, you're going to have people come up to you who are very kind. If you change the way you're thinking, you might say, wow, well, I get to see all the great people. I know who they are because they come to me, the kind ones, and they offer to give me food or they give me money. You can use every single experience in your life as a learning experience if you're open to learning. And that's how you grow as a person. If you stay in fear and you lock your house and you don't go outdoors because you're frightened of being attacked, then you've just cut off the very life force. You've just restricted your life out of imagined thoughts that have never happened. So peace, to learn peace, is essential if you want freedom. And all freedom is we live in unlimited potential. Now, I can feel myself moving towards the military. I would say to the generals, those people high up in the military, there are infinite possibilities. There is no threat to you. There is only opportunities to you. Now, if we look at the military without a story, I could say, well, great inventions have come out of the military. Look at the internet, that came out of the military. A lot of technologies have emerged. They've got the drones, and now they're using the drones to actually have a look over, geography and using them for mapping. There are many things that have had what we would see as destructive purposes that have been turned around, and they've been used in service of humanity. So what that really reflects is we're living in a world of contrasts. And it's not to fight against anything. And I'd say that even to the peace activists, you don't have to fight the military. Why don't we inspire each other? You know, you could look at the surveillance that's going on, and I know I've certainly had some stances about that because I don't like the thought of intrusive surveillance. But then that can be turned into CCTV where we protect people. It's not the technologies that are the problem. It's the application that's the problem. If we're raised with values, universal values where we see ourselves in each other, those potentials will turn into something that's serving of humanity. Once you're integrated holistically as a human and you're no longer in fear of other people, when you start to understand that you can turn situations around, you know, we talk about the endless war on terror, that can be turned around. And you have to ask questions. Why does it keep getting mentioned all the time? And if those who are mentioning it all the time understood the law of attraction, they would understand that what you think about, you bring about. Now, this is not a mystical concept. It's like any sort of marketing campaign you keep promoting, that's what people remember. It's like with the clowns, you know, the Stephen King thing. Clowns are actually wonderful and innocent and beautiful and fun. They're not evil at all. But because some movies came out that said they were, then people would look at an image like this and say, oh, that's scary. It's not. You are projecting onto that image what someone has indoctrinated into your mind. The same applies to government. We might look at governments very negatively because of the press. What if we looked at them without a story? What if we took responsibility for ourselves? What if we sought to really serve them? What would happen then? So we are the ones projecting negative or positive onto the face of the world. Equally, we can become conscious and make a decision to look at a situation without a story. That means look at it as it really is. So if I had a glass in my hand, I could say, this glass is boring, I don't like it, don't like the shape of it, you know, it looks a bit tarnished, it's been used a lot. That would be me projecting my opinion, my belief onto that glass. What if I was to look at that glass and just describe it as it's glass? This is the shape of the glass. I notice this in the glass. This is what we call discernment. So rather than judging the glass, we discern it. And rather than judging people, we discern them. We don't look at them with a story. So rather than seeing someone on the street and saying that he or she is a loser, we say person sitting on the street with a cup. My only choice is, does love move me to put something in that cup, or does love move me to walk past? As a clown, I never gave money. I used to give hugs, and I hugged everybody. And I sent love to everyone. I could not walk past someone without blowing a kiss because I loved them so much. And that love that I felt was enormous joy emanating from within me because I was doing what was natural as a human being, which was loving other humans. I was staying true to my true nature, and it brought me joy and peace. So finishing off with this, what I've said is I'm going to travel the world as a world peace sustainability clown. And what I'm going to do is teach peace as this experience of service, connecting people on the streets, teaching in schools, healing in hospitals, and communicating with many diverse audiences. And what I'm saying down the bottom here, just down here, is the dream of peace. I might just do it like that so you can see it. That's actually me in Peru. That picture I'll just show you, that's in Peru. And you can see I'm blowing bubbles there. You like my love glasses? Do you like my love glasses? And these children are actually in wheelchairs. See this little girl at the front? She was really funny. Look how gorgeous she is. She had a sense of humour, this one. I actually ended up getting surrounded by children in wheelchairs. This was in a hospital in Cusco in Peru. That's near Machu Picchu. I went up the mountain in Machu Picchu. I might just state that that was an incredible experience as well, as I was dwarfed by nature. If you ever go up on the bus in Machu Picchu, you'll be blown away by the grandeur of the mountains. And as you get up the top of Huayno Picchu, which is the mountain that overlooks Machu Picchu, you'll realise that Machu Picchu is in the shape of a condor, of an eagle. Now that site has no mortar. It was built solidly, and there were terraces. They even had toilets, they had drainage. And this was built by the Incas. It was the most extraordinary place. And I remember seeing the llamas. And one got cranky at me. I had to be careful, back off. But, you know, their society actually was based on equality. Everyone was equal. And, of course, that's my worldview too. We're all equal. I have absolutely no belief that there's people who are more superior or inferior. See, when I'm a clown, I see everybody as the same. I believe I see them because I'm in such a state of joy. I think I'm seeing the real world. I know I am. The reason I say that is because we're also trained to think in certain ways and judge people. And it's never true. So reading this little bit down here, the dream of peace is of one world where all the children realise real hopes for the future. Real hopes is an acronym for responsibility, empathy, awareness, love, honesty, oneness, peace, enjoyment and service. Now you might remember that I talked about universal values at the beginning of the video. Well, these are the universal values. When children integrate natural universal values within themselves, service becomes a natural expression of peace. Service is natural. You don't have to do good in the world. You already are good. You don't have to do anything. You just be. You be it. When you're being true to yourself, you'll just naturally give. It's a natural thing. So peace is service to humanity. It is the light in the darkness. It's the hope. It is who you truly are. Peace is life itself that naturally sustains. This is where the real sustainability is going to arise from, is when you're at peace within, you will be in harmony with the earth systems. This is how we recalibrate with the planet. We have to recalibrate our modus operandi with the planet. We have, in effect, to mirror the planetary systems in order to sustain the planet. It's not going to happen through recycling. We can learn as much as we want about ecological biology, but it's the deep ecology within us. It's what's innate within us that we have to, if you like, resurface in order to recalibrate with Earth systems. We are the world is not a nice statement, it's a truth. I am born onto this planet. I am from this world. Therefore, when I come into harmony, and a lot of the indigenous peoples did, that's why they lived so well on the planet. They did consume resources, but nothing to the extent that we're doing today. We would need 3 to 4 planets to live as the United States if everyone's consuming, and they're all doing it now. They're starting to come online because multinational companies are seeking out markets wherever they can get them. They see just dollars. They don't see the impact of that commercialization on the psyche of humanity. We have to find ways to work in business in a different way. And that sort of leads me to Richard Branson, which I've got his book here. Richard Branson. How to listen, learn, laugh, and lead. So he's a visionary. And he's a clown too. He's very funny. He's an amazing guy. Very sort of quiet fellow. He's a great listener, isn't he? And he delegates. So business community, you have role models here to really kick off something different. But only can you create that change when you change. It's not about, inventing something. You actually have to change within yourself, and then the ideas will come. I'm just going to show you this part. Real hope. This girl here I met in Argentina. She'd never been a clown before. I usually take someone on the street with me to be a clown for the day. And she went and hugged everyone, and we went to outpatients, and she spoke in Spanish. We had the best time. And her partner, Ravi, he was an economist, actually, and he and I had a lot of discussions about economics because I'm an economist. Now, what I'm interested in is gross national happiness. That's the new imperative. That's going to become our global focus. Because when you're happy, you're in harmony. When you're in harmony, you're going to want to share everything. Now, corporations will go, oh, no, we don't want them sharing everything. We want them to feel deficient so they'll buy more. Expand your thinking beyond the limited resources of the previous economic paradigm. It doesn't work, and it's actually sinking the planet, using too many resources. So we need to find ways to enjoy the abundance, and I use it as abundance, not wealth, as in money. We've got to find abundance in different ways. So we've got to reform the way we see our world and ourselves. So from these values, new ideas are going to come naturally. It's just going to be easy. This one's New Zealand, and I was actually enjoying an exhibition, and there was a guy who had taken a balloon around the world, and he'd taken the most extraordinary pictures. And I can remember the Chernobyl. He flew over Chernobyl, and he flew over Africa, and you could see all the tribal people, and he flew over these little islands like albatross colonies, and he showed people the world, the nature, the beauty, the abundance. So I went to this place, and I met up with a lot of people and had a talk about sustainability in the future. In this one, that's the one you saw before, which is in that hospital where all the kids were disabled. That was wonderful. This one was funny. Look at their faces. This is the London Underground. And they think I want money, you see. Look at them. They're scared. See, they're looking through that filter of fear. Oh, my God, what does she want? And, oh, no, she's coming near me. You've all felt that, and I felt it too. When I've seen people, entertainers, we can scare people. But what actually happened that day was I met two children who I played with on the train. I also blew up a balloon and just passed it around, and people connected. So what I'm trying to do is to actually break them out of this fear, fear of each other. I've been all over the world, and I've seen them all do the same thing everywhere. I clowned in Bangkok, I remember, on one of the monorails, I think it was. Or it was certainly a train. It's probably part of the normal train system. I don't think it was a monorail. But anyway, I had a balloon going around the carriage, and people were all laughing and smiling. And certainly in Russia, when I was there with Patch Adams, we went on a train in Moscow, and it was like Piccadilly line. It was really deep, and we had to go down a very steep escalator. And there was a lady called Crystal who was with us, and she had this beautiful sort of whistle that she had under her tongue. It was like, she was like a bird, and whistling. It was so beautiful to watch. And on the train, we laughed and played and with the people. It was really an incredible feeling of being amongst people from all over the world clowning and basically sending love and peace to everyone. And Patch Adams was the creator of that, who was the famous American clown doctor. Robin Williams played him in the movie, you might remember. Anyway, that was a profound experience for me. And what Patch was trying to do was to create loving service. in the experience of being a clown, he said, this is 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, of loving service. And he also went on to explain, this was in St. Petersburg, he went on to explain, we are all great. He said, diagnostically, people give up by 40, but we're all great. And he's right, we are. And my work, of course, is to tap into the greatness as a mirror to the greatness that's already in every single person. Sometimes you've got to lead by example. In fact, all leadership is by example. It's never about force or control. Here's some more pictures. That's me teaching in Costa Rica. And I was actually on top of a mountain. This is a Quaker or a Friends school. And I'm actually above a cloud forest. It's one of the wonders of the world, biologically speaking. It's got the greatest biodiversity. And I remember in Costa Rica, so this is a place called Montevardi, is where I'm staying here with these kids. This place was just incredible. The school was actually on top of a mountain, and there was clouds below us. When you look out the window, the clouds are beneath. And I had the opportunity to have a walk through the cloud forest, and I did a poem. It's actually on my website, my blog. And now I was practicing living. I didn't have a lot of money, and I did have an arrangement with the school to go there, but the principal somehow, I don't know, it didn't really work out. But I had an attitude, because I'm practicing peace, my attitude is trust life. So I remember walking out from that meeting thinking, oh, I don't know if I've got a gig at this school. This was another school. This wasn't this one. And I didn't know where I was going to stay, and I didn't have a lot of money because I had no income. I only had, a bit of money that I'd saved. And I just in my heart said, oh, I wonder who will offer me a bed. And then this woman, American woman, came up next to me, and she goes, oh, hello. And I spoke to her, and she said her name was Susie. And she ended up inviting me to come to her house. And I ended up staying in a separate unit. And this gave me the opportunity to then go to this school, which was up on this mountain. And I had 3 classes of, the kinder kids, and then the children. I think I had children that were 12, 13, and then I had teenagers. And I was teaching them juggling and having fun, and what it's like to be a clown. Now, in this was in Peru, and this was the place I was staying. This girl, that's right, it was actually at school. I actually went out to this school, and there was 500 kids, and I juggled, and I talked about non-violence to children. And the kids came around me, they were very excited. And then down here, I was at a hospital, and when it ran the wards, I actually took a man who was running a bookshop, and he said he wanted to learn happiness. And I said, well, I can take you out as a clown. Let's get dressed up and go. And so we did, and he arranged the hospital, and we basically went around the wards. See, this is great too. This little boy here is in Bangkok. I was clowning with the children there. This is Costa Rica again. You see their faces laughing? And so as a clown teacher, what I do is I interact with the children and play. And we do, we think through things. We do activities and games, all about values and peace, collaboration, anti-discrimination. I teach them about responsibility and empathy, to feel their feelings and to express their feelings, anti-bullying as well. It's a wonderful program. I'm going to tell you about it in a moment. This is a lovely picture too. This is in that plaza. These were 2 women that I met. They again spoke Spanish. That was London, I think. Let me have a look. Actually, no, that's Ireland. That was Ireland, Dublin. And this man, he was with Rotary, I think. Oh, no, he wasn't. He was, just remembering, he was a Quaker, I believe. He was. Grandfather, had a couple of kids. Took him out for the first time. He'd never been a clown before. And we went and met the people. We danced and had fun. This guy here, he's Palestinian and he's in London. So he's talking to the peace clown, and as you can see, I have a hat that's a jester. That's what I am, a jester. Jesters speak truth to power. But what we really are symbolic of is stepping off that cliff. We step off the cliff of uncertainty and we just trust that something's going to come. And of course, I've lived in a way where I haven't had a home. I've had to develop a trust in life, and I'm also practicing not fearing no money, but at the same time, I'm not also wanting to live off other people. I'm wishing to be self-sufficient and independent at the same time. But in order to work on, if you like, inner security, sometimes you have to step off the cliff of security in order to experience, does life give? You know, if I believe I'm looked after, the thought of belief, and this was the law of attraction I raised before. What you think about, you bring about is the law of attraction. It's electromagnetic. It works along the idea that everything is energy. Now, it's not a hard concept to really connect to if you've done any marketing. People will say, okay, positive thinking, think about the car you want, and then you start seeing cars that look like that car all the time because the mind's very selective in its perception. You can train the mind. And eventually something happens and that car turns up. And I know that if we interviewed a lot of people, they'd all say they've got at least one story in their life where they've done that. You know, we do it unconsciously. We attract things to us for a lesson. There's a learning. Now imagine if you consciously create. So if you want positive outcomes, you have to focus on a positive outcome. That's why when we talk about the war on terror and we keep focusing on it, we're actually drawing the fear to us because everybody starts to feel insecure and then they feel they have to arm up. If people keep talking about nuclear holocaust, they keep talking it up. We are creating the life and times we're moving through the power of our thought. That's why education is critical. Our thought processes are all being, if you like, formulated through the education system. What are we learning? Also, the media is adding to that, and it's telling you this is the way the world is. Well, it's not. There are 4 billion different worlds on this planet, 4 to 6 billion, let's say, maybe more. It's all about what you choose to think. It really is. It's that powerful. So if we educate all the children in peacemaking, we teach them how to sustain the planet, then obviously the future is going to change. So I'll read you a little bit of this overview. Children represent over 30% of the world's population. It is evident that children's voices, ideas and concerns are not adequately represented in relation to local and global issues that directly affect them and are likely to affect them in the future. It is proposed that an International Sustainability and Peace Encouragement Award for Kids to Unite People be established. The International Speak Up Award will have as its call to action to be the change you wish to see in the world. That's Gandhi. This is a powerful message that leads by example and encourages ethical conduct and real-world community service, which is what Rotary talks about. I'm a Rotary Peace Fellow. This is an important message for children and world citizens around the world. The purpose of the International Speak Up Award is to empower the next generation to lead the collective visions and actions for peace between people and with natural systems. The award empowers children by rewarding and acknowledging their ideas, creativity, capabilities in peace building and ecological sustainability in their local communities. So it's thinking local, it's actually thinking globally, acting locally would be what that reflects. The International Speak Up Award raises awareness of the critical importance of children as future stewards, and I would add peace ambassadors as well, to be actively empowered in peace building and ecological sustainability. So this would be in alignment too with the United Nations programs. We want to unite the world community in their local communities and have children inspire the world. Because why are you all working? You're working for your children. But there's no point doing that if there's no future for them. We have to make sure that these kids are empowered to create the change that they need in order to survive, and that there are future generations on this planet. It is proposed that a reputable international organisation, so if you're out there, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there, you're invited to put in a submission to me as to why you would want to be a partner in the International Speak Up Award, Sustainability, Peace, Encouragement Award for Kids to Unite People. Maybe you want to dress up as a clown like me. You might be a bit scared. I don't know. So this is going to be a funding body. So you can become a lead organisation and fund this, or we can crowdfund it. We can find a range of funders so it becomes collectively owned. I'd like the project actually to be shared, because this is not about promoting products. This is about creating real change in the world. And this is actually about, if you're a business, this is going to be hard for you to swallow, but you're going to put your business interests second to this. You're going to do this because you really feel you want to make a difference in the world. You're not doing it to promote yourself or some form of international citizenship to promote your business. You're going to join me because you're actually feeling a calling in this. You know you've got to do something. So come and talk to me. So you're going to get on board, and this international organisation that I choose will be in concert with a growing worldwide movement empowering a real future for children, inspired by the theme to be the change you wish to see in the world, and inspiring world citizens towards self-responsibility, peace as personal change, and to action, peace and sustainability in their world. It's taking responsibility for the planet. So it's proposed that the International Speak Up Award is promoted worldwide to schools and submissions collected at the local level. I invite Rotarians if you want to get involved. Golden Key, I'm a member of Golden Key. You might want to get in touch with me. If you're a philanthropist and you want a project that's going to empower children, this is the one. Whoever you are, if you feel resonance, if you're still watching this after an hour, then something within you is connecting to this. Just going to show you a few more pictures. This is in New Zealand. It's what the kids created, isn't it great? See, the kids can do wonderful things if we just give them the chance. Look at those. They're all clowns. That's why I want to work with kids, because they're clowns. They're my inspiration. That was the guy from the bookshop that I told you about in Peru who was interested in happiness, who came to the hospital. The director and I actually have a photo on the website, my website, which is worldpeacefull.com. So Peacefull is F-U-L-L. It's my clown name is Peacefull. The director of the hospital came out and said, "Oh, can you come again? And we'd love to do this more often." Same thing happened to me in MBK in Bangkok, in Thailand. I clowned with a Thai national who was a wonderful lady I met who worked in the oncology unit at one of the hospitals close by. And she always wanted to be a clown, so I took her out and she had a great time. And we played a bit of football, with my juggling balls. We juggled. And I went up and massaged people on their shoulders for peace. I have a thing called an orgasmatron, which is like a head massager. Really beautiful. It makes people feel really great. Hugged a lot of people. And it was really funny. The marketing manager came out, and an offsider, I don't know who he was. It was some sort of manager. And they talked to my friend Sherry and asked if I could come back again and clown, because it brought such a beauty and joy to this shopping centre. It was a multi-storey shopping centre. It was massive. It's across from Chulalongkorn University, where I studied peace studies with the Rotary. It was great. And her and I, we just had the loveliest time. It was fantastic. So that's the Speak Up Award. That will create massive change across the planet. I'm not joking. It's going to. I'm not joking. I'm a clown. Actually, speaking of joking, I want to show you something. I like this. You might think it sounds stupid, but I liked it. I found this at the op shop today. Isn't it cute? Look at this. Is it juggling? Yeah, it is. High fly. Just look at the slide. It's a circus. Everybody loves a circus. So anyway, it's funny, it's got a little thing down here. I'm not quite sure how that works, what that does. But anyway, I'm supposed to press the button. I was playing with it in the old shop. Isn't it cute? So when I go and work in the preschools, which I'm going to do very soon, which is to teach peace to very young children. Oh, look, it's coming back up again. It's like a Jack in the Box. I really like it. I've never seen a clown in the box, but anyway. Push it down. Sorry. Push it down. Wish it came up faster because that would probably give them a bit of a fright. It's okay to get people laughing, and to give them a bit of a, to go, oh, what's that? Kids love that. That's what kids are all about. They absolutely love being surprised. My clown suit, they used to all love having a look over my clown suit. They loved it. Anyway, what I'm going to show you quickly now is Real Hope. So when I go around the schools around the world, talking about the Speak Up Award, which is the Sustainability, Peace, Encouragement Award for Kids to Unite People, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to give and gift the schools Real Hope. Now, this is my Peace, Nonviolence, Anti-Bullying program. Now, what this is about is teaching responsibility, empathy, awareness, love, honesty, oneness, peace, enjoyment, and there's actually an S on the end, which is service, Real Hopes. It's a very, very comprehensive program. I teach universal values, problem solving. So I have a brainstorming session with the children. So, for example, if I'm teaching responsibility, I say, what's responsibility? It means the ability to respond, you can do something. Now, this will need to be translated into a whole myriad of languages. And I have a vision of working, maybe through some networks, could be school networks, could be service networks, to translate this program for these schools and to give it to them for free. That's what I want to do. It's a gift. It's my gift. I teach the children responsibility, empathy, awareness, love, honesty, oneness, peace, enjoyment, and service. So responsibility, the ability to respond, you can do something, it's in your hands. And what this is about is we're learning power within, not power over. We're learning to take responsibility, but it's not a shouldering of responsibility. It is the ability to respond. When you have the ability to respond, you are responsible. So this is a universal value. This is not culturally imbued. It's actually freeing people to take action. Empathy is to stand in someone's shoes. So we teach children activities where they get to learn about their body language. Empathy, how do they read people? How do they feel? If they're in a situation of being bullied, do they care about that other person? If they're a bystander, if there's someone watching, are they going to intervene? How can they help that other? How do we open up the feeling centre in the heart? Of course, laughter can do that. That's why I teach as a clown, because we do lots of jokes and get the kids laughing so they're connecting emotionally to themselves. It's the disconnect that causes all the problems we're seeing around the planet. We just don't care about one another. We're indifferent. This work is to actually develop the feeling side, so the emotional intelligence to really read situations emotionally. So that's responsibility, empathy, awareness is to actually notice. So one of the activities I do is you get the kids to close their eyes and you imagine the front of the room, and you get them to turn. You imagine the side of the room, other side, close your eyes, imagine the side of the room, and then the back of the room. Then I say to the kids, we're going to now face the front, eyes closed. Now open your eyes, what didn't you see? What they learn there is selective perception. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't see that. What they get to learn is that we don't know everything. We don't see it all. We only have very small snapshots of what's going on. And then we formulate a view from that. And what this does is it stops this right-wrong perception occurring where you just fundamentally believe you're right and everyone's wrong. Well, they're not. They're not. So if you know that you could be wrong, and this is what I say to children is the most intelligent thing you can think is I could be wrong. Now, when they do that, their mind goes, opens. Whereas we've been taught you've got to be right all the time, you've got to have all the answers, you've got to look smart. Well, no, that's not how we solve the world's problems. We actually have to be open enough to say, I don't know everything. I may not have the answers, but this feels for me an answer at this moment, okay? I'm open to different possibilities, and that's how you get these extraordinary, innovative thoughts coming in. You've got to be open. You can't have ego shutting it down, saying, I know best. I know how you should live. Well, you don't. You don't know a person's life or purpose. So then we've got love. Now, what I was teaching kids was about my time in the baby houses in Russia. And I was saying, what would happen if the children don't get love? Well, they can become imbecile. They can go crazy. And what I teach the kids is that you need love to live, literally. How important are your friends? How important is your parents? How important are your grandparents? Very important. It makes you feel healthy. This is the real wealth of nations, is the family. We can extend our family and bring people into our family. Our friends can be family. You know, someone on the street, you can make them feel like family. You just bring them in. So that's love. I teach it in quite a deep way. I also talk about non-violence. I introduced to the children Gandhi's work, Satyagraha, which is holding on to truth, and Ahimsa, which is non-violence and unconditional love. I talk to the children and show them videos of Gandhi in South Africa when he was bullied, and he had a pastor, a British pastor, with him. And Gandhi was trying to teach to turn the other cheek, as was taught in that Christian mythology. And the pastor was not so sure in real life if that's a good idea because you get beaten up, he's thinking. But Gandhi said, no. When you stand in your truth and you're not set aside, intimidated, scared off, the respect in the other grows for you. Their hatred of you diminishes. That's how you de-escalate the hate. They respect you. So what he was doing was teaching respect through self-respect. And he taught non-violence. He was amazing. He was a very, very powerful man and a very loving, kind man. He also taught self-sufficiency as well. He had his own little ashram and he was teaching the people unity amongst themselves in respect. So, in a sense, what he did with India was really to give people back their dignity, which is what they lost when they were suppressed and minimised. So that's the love aspect and honesty. So I'm teaching them that Gandhi talked about the truth. He saw the truth as God and God as the truth. And he saw that as non-violence when you're open and honest and truthful. This is non-violence. It's a practice. It's not always easy to tell the truth, but you've got to learn to tell the truth. There are ways you can do it without, feeling uncomfortable. You can, if, say, for example, someone says, do you like my jumper, and you don't like it, you don't say, I hate your jumper. That's insensitive. You would say, what you think of your jumper is what matters. I don't think that jumper would look any good on me, but if you like it, that's great, So there are levels to truth-telling, I'm a great believer in visibility completely and disclosure, because it gives the other person the opportunity to make decisions. And I don't want to distort that and take that opportunity from them. They have to know the real what's going on here. And that comes from respect as well. So that's honesty. Oneness is that we're one with the planet. And I teach children about the world and that we've got one system. The air that is on the planet has been breathed by every single human being that has ever lived. We are one world, one family, one breath. And when we start to see the oneness, I see myself and others, I join. I don't reject them. I can see myself as one with Muslims. Absolutely. I had friends that were from different Muslim countries. They were wonderful. Wonderful. The oneness that I felt was they played harmonia and sang and poetry, and I could, I really loved joining with that. It was awesome. They were friends. I can be one with the Chinese. I love Asian people, and I love to find out about their words, ni hao, che che, things like that. Dos Vidanya in Russia, Namaste in India and Nepal. There's lots of different words that we can use in order to create a sense of family and oneness. And I do that as a clown all the time. Then we've got peace, which is the yin and the yang. This is the opposites that are uniting. So life is not meant to be all peaceful. We wouldn't have the contrast and the clashing it up of ideas if everybody was in complete peace. And we're not in an order that's meant to be at complete peace. It's meant to have diversity. It's meant to have the dark and the light element. And in fact, that program I was telling you about earlier about good and evil, what Morgan Freeman was saying was, it's about understanding the dark element. You have to understand that everyone has good and bad in them. Everyone. There are moments when you sit in judgment of someone. Well, that's a negative aspect shadowing that person. They call it the shadow because your negative thoughts are actually putting a shadow over that person. Whenever I see anyone as less than great, I know that I'm projecting. If I look at them without a story, they're innocent. Everyone is innocent. We are believing thoughts that could be hurtful, destructive, but beyond that, they're innocent. If they knew, they wouldn't do it. So I see an ignorance that's happening amongst people where they really believe what they're doing is the right thing. You talk to anyone who's bullying and they really believe they're doing the right thing. People involved in warfare, we say, oh, well, they're all good, they're protecting our country, but they're actually doing the same thing as someone who attacks someone on the street. But we've got a story around it and we say, well, that's good because it protects me. Well, is it? Is it, what is it? It's questioning. Now, I'm not going to project negatively onto them. I'm understanding that they are believing that they're protecting. So they have to have an honourable idea that promotes that behaviour. But if we take away the story, X or A is shooting B. One is dying. That's no story. Is it achieving what they say they're setting out to achieve, which mostly they say is peace? Well, the truth of that matter is you cannot teach peace by violence. Peace only comes from peace, is the truth. But there's whole industries built up around this, and so people get money out of it, and then they have to promote it because they get more money. But they're holding on to the greed of the money, believing that this gives them status, that gives them love, that gives them respect. But if you take away the story, they're just perpetuating something that, there's how many other people around the person who died are in misery because they lost a family member. We don't think about that. We just have very simplistic notions of right and wrong, and, we make up stories. That's what we all do. Peace activists do it too. They think they're fighting for, world peace. Well, they're fighting. But they don't question that, and they're hating the government or they're hating the military. That's the same thing. It's still projecting negative thoughts into the world, which creates division, which perpetuates the war. And what we're here really to do now at this point in history is we're going to stop the war. The military are going to stop the war as well. They're going to jump on board with all of this because their children want a future. They love their children. If it's not working, you stop. If we've got leaders now coming on stream who aren't to be trusted, who are not emotionally intelligent, who are not peacemakers, do we really want to perpetuate a situation where they can use weapons that could destroy the planet 4 times over? That's what all the nuclear arsenal can do. I remember when I was doing peace studies, there were 70,000 nuclear weapons on the planet. Now, these were non-operational. I think we were talking about 10,000 operational nuclear weapons, 5,000 in Russia, 5,000 in the United States. We've got bunker busters. These are mini nukes that blow up deep holes underground. We have cluster bombs where they blow up and all these little bomblets drop out. Children pick them up as toys. That's what they were doing in Afghanistan. No one says anything about that. Where was the morality? of those who invented that bomb deliberately, that children would pick them up and blow their limbs off, so their parents would then have to look after them and not participate in war. That's a very sanitized strategy without any concept of the pain and suffering that would be, felt by those dealing with that problem on the ground. We've had napalm in Vietnam, this really hot molten stuff just exploding and burning people. It's a very powerful image of that little child. Remember running from the napalm? You can see it blowing up behind the child. That child was interviewed many years later as an adult, talked about that moment. That moment was very pivotal. What about the guy in Tiananmen Square who stood up against the tank? Huge tank. Bravery. What about Aung San Suu Kyi? I remember there was a moment where she was having I think it was a 6-hour standoff with the military. And she ended up just walking towards them. She could have been shot. Very brave. She was under house arrest for many, many years, and trying to inspire democracy when they're in the midst of militarism, people who do not want to give up any power, people who enslaved other people. And of course, life has its there's impact. So when you do something, there's going to be a countervailing thing happening. It's not necessarily going to come through the people who you think it's going to come through. Life responds to you. So what you put out comes back energetically. It's very fascinating. So going back to the Real Hope program, I've talked about responsibility, empathy, awareness, love, honesty, oneness. Now it's peace. I just talked about yin and yang. That's why we went into the war stuff. Enjoyment, of course, is the clown. Oh, bring in the clowns. I like my clown. See, they're the clown colour. Well, orange is also another clown colour, but red is as well. Red is passion. Red is, excitement. It's fun. Wonderful. Do us more. Bring in the clowns. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that clown. Look at its little suit. I've got a cosmic clown suit because I'm a cosmic jester as well. Anyway, so that's peace, enjoyment. Enjoyment is the joy within you. We want the joy to be experienced. It's not about pleasure seeking and buying all these iPads and iPhones and video games. It's actually about being able to laugh for no reason. Just stop laughing. This is what me and my friend do. We might do that at a restaurant. She's got a clown nose. She sticks it on her nose on the tram. And the people look at her because she's like 60. It's hilarious. And she looks very sophisticated, like she's from Turak, which is a very upper class area. And she sticks the clown nose on. I love it. Very brave, very brave. She stands out of that conformity. She's actually got a whole tram to sing happy birthday to her friend. I said, we should just do it anyway, whether it's birthday or not. Just get them singing. And this is the thing. We want to bring the people together, bring the world together. This is what this is about. So again, finishing off with real hope. So responsibility, empathy, awareness, love, honesty, oneness, peace, enjoyment, and service. And that's what this video is. It's a service. So children will learn these things and they will learn real hope, real hopes for the future. The real aspect in the word, right, is authenticity. When a person is authentic, they will be responsible, empathetic, aware, and loving. Now, if we want hope for the world, they'll be honest. They'll feel oneness. They'll experience peace and enjoyment. This is what recalibrates to real hope. So real hope will be gifted to schools around the world. Children will also be asked through a survey what they think about the future. We're going to look 50 years into the future and ask them, what sort of world are you going to create? Because what the children believe is what's going to happen. We then get them involved in peacemaking and peace building and sustainability. They choose what they want to do over a 1-year period, come up with ideas, put in video submissions. Then they get selected from an international Speak Up committee, and then we will have people sitting there who want to fund them, and we will fund their ideas so the children can get going on it. We have to empower them, folks. The time is now. There, of course, will be people who don't want these things to happen, and that's okay. I send you love too. I'm doing this for you. And I'm open to your ideas. You feel free to contact me and tell me why you think what you think. I'm not going to poo-poo it. I'll just say, okay, you know, maybe we can have a conversation. There are no enemies in this world, really. When you have an open mind, when you let go of the ego, when you put the children first, when you put the planet first, infinite possibilities open up. And that is what I'm offering you in this video. Infinite possibilities. So I'm Susan Carew. Contact me, 0409 07 1030. The best way could probably be through the website. So go to www.worldpeacefull, it's all one word. So that's peaceful, FULL.com. So drop me a line and let's have a conversation. Let's get this show on the road. Why not? So thank you for listening to me. This is a really long video, but I'm just letting inspiration guide it. That's why it's taking so long. It's meant to be this long. World peace is worth an hour and a half of your time. Don't you think? Don't you think it's time to change? Be the change you wish to see in the world. I send you much love, peace, happiness, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Bye.